Hello and welcome to Awful Commentary. Today we are going to be talking about the indefinite delay of the Inhumans. Now the Inhumans are a group that we've mentioned several times before because really they have quite a complex relationship with the Marvel Universe and in the MCU. They've been seen by many as a replacement for the X-Men whose movie rights are still at Fox. But as time has gone on, it seems to have become more and more clear that Marvel don't really know what they're doing with the cinematic version of the Inhumans. For fans who are not necessarily into the comics, the Inhumans are quite an obscure set of characters to be looking at. They're not as high profile as the Avengers, and they're definitely not as high profile as the X-Men. But the MCU has been doing its best to lay the groundwork for the upcoming film. The Inhumans were created by an alien race called the Kree, who we've seen in Guardians of the Galaxy and in Marvel's Agents of s.h.i.e.l.d. And while the Inhumans generally appear the most on the cosmic scene, it's actually in the TV show that we've seen them the most. Agents of s.h.i.e.l.d. started with the idea that not all heroes are super, and while that continued for the majority of the first season, it's really taken a dive in the last two. In fact, the Kree and the Inhumans have been worked into the very basis of Agents of s.h.i.e.l.d. since the first episode. From the moment we found out how Agent Coulson came back from the dead, we were set on the path to discovering that there was more going on with the world and the universe itself than we were previously aware of. But this put the MCU in a bit of a conundrum, because Agents of s.h.i.e.l.d. started showing in 2013, but the Inhumans movie wasn't scheduled until 2019. Which meant a possible 6 years of over 20 episodes a year based around the Inhumans that couldn't touch on what was going on in the movie. It also raised the question of, would the Inhumans that are featured in the TV show go over to the movie universe? Would the Inhumans from the movies come back into the TV show? It all just seemed like a tangled mess. So now the question becomes, why was the movie pushed back in the first place? Initially, the Inhumans movie was pushed back from 2018 to 2019 because of the introduction of Spider-Man to the MCU. And with the success of Ant-Man spawning a sequel to Ant-Man and the Wasp, we see that the MCU is filling up much faster than was previously anticipated. Perhaps the question for Marvel has become, are the Inhumans necessary for the end of Phase 3? Do we need them for Avengers Part 1? Do we need them for Avengers Part 2? And probably not. As the Inhumans are unlikely to tie in with the Avengers at any point, and as the majority of the cast for the first Avengers seem to be dropping out after the end of Phase 3, it's unnecessary for Disney to make this movie at this point in time. Instead, by waiting for Phase 4 to come around, they're left with an almost clean slate from which to build from. Considering that Avengers Infinity War is supposed to tie up everything that came before it into a nice little bundle, adding a royal family that lives on the moon into the mix right before the end may overcomplicate things a bit. Perhaps the halting of this movie signifies some kind of deal with Fox, that the X-Men are going to make a cameo in the MCU the same way that Spider-Man has done. Ultimately, this is pretty unlikely, but if it was going to happen at any time, Infinity War is the perfect time to bring the two universes together as Thanos tears everything apart. Is the Inhumans movie gone for good? I don't think that it is. The Inhumans have got a big push in the comics recently. And with their Kree and their heritage being pushed so much now in Guardians of the Galaxy, in Agents of the s.h.i.e.l.d., I doubt they're going anywhere. If there was some kind of problem with the Inhumans on the silver screen and the Inhumans on the smaller screen, then Disney are pretty likely to have dealt with it by now. And unless the impossible does happen, and the X-Men seem to find some way into the MCU, I think what we're likely to find is the Inhumans finding a place in Phase 4 or Phase 5 of Marvel's future. But what do you guys think? Do you think that Vin Diesel will finally get to play the silent Black Bolt in the Inhumans and the talking Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy? Or do you think it's done and gone forever? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you next time on Awful Commentary.